Hello and welcome to the show. Now, one of the great things about Assetto Corsa is the huge amount of mods that you can get for the game, whether it be vehicles or whether it be circuits, including some kind of special stages, if you like. The Goodwood Festival of Speed hill climb was made for the game. It's a fantastic mod that adds, well, the hill climb stage for you to drive vehicles up. And naturally, I wanted to have a go with it because, I mean, the great thing about the Festival of Speed is the variety of vehicles that can run up the hill climb stage and compete against each other from different eras, different categories, different styles, and all of that sort of thing I put together. So, Assetto Corsa, with the vast array of vehicles available to it, is a great game, if you like, to have a go at our own little Festival of Speed, if you like. So, vehicles like the Lola can race up against this Mini. Now we start, we're running the vehicles in the reverse qualifying order, if you like. Slowest qualifiers will go up first, and we start with a classic Grand Prix car, the Maserati 250F. It is by far the oldest car here. It does have 300 horsepower. It is no slouch in a straight line, but it does have 1950s brakes and tyres, and it's going to be a handful as we launch the car off the line. As I said, it's not slow in a straight line heading down towards the first corner, but it is rather sideways. I mean, it's just about kept on the road. It's still moving around all the way through that second corner. Now it can use its power, although it's got to try and slow all of that. It's still going sideways as it jumps on the brakes. More wiggling from the Maserati, a little bit of a lock-up, very easy to do into that corner. Now, again, the power can try to be put down the back end, wanting to wheel around. It's up towards the flint wall here. Not going to be the most comfortable of places for the Maserati. It's a little sideways on the way in, quite a lot sideways on the way out. It's still just about pointing the right direction. Two more corners to go. Quite a lot of understeer followed by a lot of oversteer from the Maserati. Still not got into straight. I don't think it's on a straight line at any point on the run up this stage. It's very sideways around the final corner, but it is across the line. Across the line, 108 miles an hour. That's not actually that bad in terms of speed, but yeah, the 58.7 is the benchmark. It goes sub 1 minute at least up the hill climb. So there we have the first time. It did not go in a straight line at any point, I don't think, on the way up the hill climb. But it did just about, it brushed the hay bales a couple of places, but it just about stayed out of trouble for most of the way. Now the times are likely to tumble, of course, as we get faster. This should be an interesting, I say, test. Our next vehicle to run is a Skoda. This is the 130 RS. We go from, I guess, high-level Grand Prix racing to what was much more entry-level sort of racing. A very successful car in both terms of rallying and circuit racing, the 130 RS. Much less power in this. We've only got 133 horsepower in it. It still weighs 740 kilos, so decent power-to-weight ratio going on here, and likely to be a lot more controllable, not as fast to the first split. It's not likely to be as fast accelerating. That is understandable, really, but you can already see it's got a little bit more composure. In fact, mostly on the grass through this corner. A lot more composure in the Skoda as it heads towards the next set. Now, the straights is where it is going to struggle a little bit, and indeed we are down. The actual speed is higher. It can brake much later down there, but yeah, the top speed is going to be down. It's going to struggle up this climb in comparison to the Maserati, but towards the wall, it's less likely to be moving around, and sure enough, I think it's flat all the way through there, and it is going quicker. Next corner, it's a slide from the Skoda. It's not always, it's definitely being pushed up this stage. One more corner to go. It doesn't have the power at this particular section, but it does have, it's not sliding around, it does have the control. It's across the line. It loses some time at the end there, but it is still just fast enough. 58.4 for the Skoda. We'll see it go a little bit faster. Nowhere near as quick across the line, of course. As I said, it runs out of power towards the top of the course. It's used to be expected, but it can carry momentum through those corners. So the first little duel, and the Skoda, it is odd. I say odd. It's great having a Skoda against a classic Maserati Grand Prix car, and they're both very close. They get their speed in completely different ways up this hill climb, but there we go. The Skoda will lead the way. It probably won't be for long, though. Up next, we have a rather modern vehicle. This, the John Cooper Works Mini Challenge car. Now, We are I say we are much heavier with this one. It's 1,000 kilos. We're talking 300 kilos heavier than the likes of the Skoda. We have got more power in this. The big difference for this car is brakes and tyres, and we even have downforce and aerodynamics and all of that come into play. It won't be quite perhaps as good off the line as some cars. Front-wheel drive, it's the only front-wheel drive car we have running in this. It is going to be quicker than the Skoda though, down towards the first split, and it's the corner speed. That is where the Mini is going to make up the time. If it can keep all of its wheels on the ground, yeah, sure, the Mini wants to go up onto 2 wheels, that's fine through there. Definitely not terrifying at all. It jumps under brakes, you can see the time it's making is already 2 seconds clear of the Skoda. The Mini is going to be quicker there, unless there's a big crash. The Mini is going to be faster. It can carry so much more speed through the corners, and it has got a decent chunk of power. It's nearly 300 horsepower here as we go through past the wall. It is 3.5 seconds up. A couple more corners to go. No sliding. A little bit of a bobble from the Mini through there. We're definitely not going to have big oversteer through this next corner though. The Mini can be flat out, make the most of its power all the way to the line. It is going to go fast. This is a 53 dead for the Mini. 5.5 seconds clear of that Skoda. A very good run. A slight scary two-wheeled moment from the car early on, but the rest of it a very good, very clean run for the Mini that is going to put it to the top of the table, and that has set a pretty good benchmark for the next few cars to try and beat. Yeah, much like with this, the Skoda is all about carrying speed through the corners. Is the same for the Mini. Okay, it has a little bit more grunt to get it up the hill and all that, but yeah, the majority of its time there is going to be made up through those corners. So we move on to our next contender, the Toyota Celica. This the GT4, a rally car. We're all-wheel drive. Again, we're around the 300 horsepower mark, around the 1,000 kilo mark as well for this one. Now, the traction is going to be fantastic. The launch is going to be great for this car. All-wheel drive, not the biggest benefit for later on in the course as we blast off towards the first corner. It's going to be quicker down here, and indeed it is. It's almost sub 6 seconds down there. Now the speed not quite as high, a little earlier on the brakes for the Celica. Again, we've got another car bouncing on 2 wheels, not quite as far as the Mini though. The Mini wins the award for most two-wheeled antics so far, at least, down here. So, I mean, the Celica is still up in terms of the time. It's going to have decent grip, it's got decent traction certainly out of these corners. It's not quite as good under brakes though. That seems to be where it's losing a little bit. It might not quite have the same grip through these corners. It is a little older, of course, than the Mini, and not quite designed for all of this in the same way that the Mini would be. It's lost, again, it's just losing little bits of time. Does it have the power to make it up through this final corner and the run towards the line? I'm not sure. It's going to be very, very close either way. It can't do it. It is half a second down for the Celica. It starts off strongly, and that one very quick to the first split, and it's still up by the second, but it cannot quite maintain. It can't carry the same corner speed, essentially, that the Mini could. It's a good run. Again, don't get me wrong, good run from the Celica, 53.5 for that one, but yeah, not quite able to carry that same corner speed. It will be, I have to settle for second for the moment. Now, the next car to run up this stage, it's going to be close. This sort of little group, the Mini, the Celica, and Detomaso Pantera. There's a Group 4 version of the car, all very, very close in qualifying. Now, Pantera, I mean, this has got a lot of power. We're talking nearly 500 horsepower in this one. Not as sophisticated anywhere near as the Mini. Is a lot of tyre smoke as the Pantera gets off the line. Down towards the first split, it is half a second clear of the Mini. Now, that's comparing to the Mini time. It's actually still slower than the Celica down there. It does want to slide around. It is, again, not going to have the grip through these corners, but it does have the brute force as we head down this straight like a flame from the back of the car. We jump on the brakes. It's lost some of that advantage to the Mini. Again, another lock-up. We'll see quite a few cars. Very easy to lock up a wheel down there. It's a horrible, nasty braking zone. It's kind of downhill. There's a corner to deal with as well. Towards the wall. Now, the Pantera won't carry the speed that the Mini does through there, and sure enough, it's losing ground, and it can't carry the speed through here, but now that 500 horsepower is going to come in very, very handy as it powers its way up the hill towards the finish line. It's a little sideways around the final corner. How close is it going to be? It is fast and just. Oh, that slide had been any bigger towards the finish line, that would have been trouble for the Pantera. Oh, it does go quicker. It's very fast across the line. Once the power can be put down, it is monumentally quick, but trying to use it is not so easy around there. It does go to the top of the table, only just. Only just for the Pantera, yeah. 0.15 of a second. I mean, not many places will you have a Group 4 Pantera against a Celica GT4 and a mini cup car, essentially, covered by less than a second, but there we go. We're starting to bring out the big guns now. We're starting to bring out the faster and faster cars. From Porsche, we have the 908. This is with the kind of longer bodywork, if you like, at the back. Not as much power as we see from the Pantera here, but it's very, very light. We're only 680 kilos in this car, so the 350 horsepower is going to howl its way towards the first split. It goes quicker than the Pantera. Interestingly, it's still not faster than the Celica down there. It bounces a slide from the Porsche, not quite onto two wheels through all of there, but yeah, the all-wheel drive traction is great. After that initial launch, the Porsche is flying down here. And another lock-up for a car, though only a very short lock-up for the Porsche. It'll get on that power once more as we climb up towards the wall. Now, it will have... Okay, it's not a particularly modern car, this one, but it has got plenty of grip past the wall. The back end moving around plenty. We're a second clear of the Pantera. Did not want to have a wheel on the grass through there. It almost goes around, just about gets back under control. Still keeps the foot down around the final corner. It's the run towards the line for the Porsche. It is actually gone faster somehow in that final section, gone faster than the Pantera, despite being all crossed up and almost in the hay bales. Just about gets away without spinning. It's a 51.5 for the 908. You got a little leery towards the end of that one. Quite leery indeed by the end of that one. But the 908 is to the top of the table. Yeah, the second clear. It has, well, I say it has, it doesn't necessarily have the grip. It can certainly make the most of its power. A little scary in places, but yeah, it will go clear of that Pantera. Now the vehicle starts to get seriously fast. From Lola, we have got the T70 Spider, the Mark II Spider. This one powered by the Ford V8. We've got 430 horsepower, and again, car that weighs just over 680 kilos. That is a massive, massive power-to-weight ratio, but this is another classic vehicle. It does not have modern brakes or modern tyres or modern downforce. It is phenomenally fast to the first split, 5.6 seconds. Struggled to get it stopped, though, through the next corner, a little bit on the grass. Again, we see most cars dipping a wheel on the grass here and there. It gets away with it, and now it can make the most of all that V8 power down this next straight. Dives under brakes. We're a second and a half clear of the Porsche already. No lockups from the Lola. A little bit of oversteer, though, from the T70 towards the wall we go. Gonna have to be a little careful through here. It's a lot of speed and not a huge amount of grip. With 2.5 seconds clear of that Porsche. A couple more corners to go. A slide, not as big a slide from the Lola though around there. Now it is just a blast towards the finish line. Keep the foot down the whole way up towards it, and it's 48.1. That is a fantastically quick time. 3.3 seconds clear of the Porsche. That is a phenomenally quick time actually for the Lola, much faster than it ran in qualifying. That is, yeah, for a car that age, that is a hell of a time up the course. It has the power, it has that acceleration. It is brutally quick when you can put the power down, and it was able to still carry half decent amount of quarter speed to make it up the hill climb stage that fast. That is actually going to put a little bit of a scare on some of the much more sensible cars that are coming up next. We have a Lamborghini Huracan, the GT3 car, I think one of the most modern vehicles that we have running in this. It is the most powerful car we've got here at 600 horsepower, but it also weighs 1,200 kilos. It's nearly twice the weight of the Lola, but it is, as I said, much more modern. We've got modern brakes, modern tyres, lots of downforce, and all of that sort of goodies. And okay, it's not going amazingly fast. I say it's not going amazingly fast. It is down on the first split. The aero is still going to be helpful at places around here. The Lola beats it to the first checkpoint, but it's much more. I say it's much more composed. We still see some bouncing, but everything is bounced around on that particular corner. It howls its way towards the next section, and is going faster than the Lola. It's only 0.3 of a second up though on that. That first section is where the Lola's strong. This is where the Lamborghini is likely to come into its own. It'll carry a lot of speed through the wall. In fact, you don't even see the brake lights go. I think it's just a lift and a downshift maybe through there, and sure enough, it's very fast past the wall. It's gained a little bit more time. Had a wheel on the dirt, but didn't get the big slide we saw from the Porsche. One more corner to go. It's going to be flat out, no problem for the Huracan. It crosses the line. 46.6. That is a quick run. That is a quick run indeed for the Hurricane. Doesn't beat the Lola's speed across the line, but it is a 1.5 seconds clear up at the top. Yeah, that is a very, very quick run from the Hurricane. I mean, it still puts into perspective how fast that Lola was, considering the age difference, the technology difference in all of that. And that is, yeah, it's testament to how fast that Lola went. But the Hurricane has set the benchmark. That is going to be a tough time to beat. That is a very quick run from the Hurricane, quicker than anything ran in qualifying, so everything's got to be improving here. Up next, we have the Glickenhaus, the SCG-003, not the most exciting name of vehicle, however, it is going to be ready to go. A curious-looking car, this one, I will say that much. We have slightly less power and slightly more weight in this than we saw from the Hurricane as it launches, is off and underway. Is it going to be able to beat the Lamborghini down towards this first split? It does not. In fact, it doesn't beat the Lola either. Oh, in fact, the Lamborghini did beat the Lola, so that does make sense. We are slightly less bobbly, actually, across the grass, across that sort of section, which is good for the Glickenhaus. You definitely want a bit of stability in your vehicle as we run around here. It's lost more time to the Lamborghini as we head up towards the Flint Wall once more. Again, it's going to be fast through here, all of these modern cars. A tiny tap on the brakes for the Glickenhaus. It is through the wall and it's gained some time in all of that. Is it going to be, it's a little wide with a couple of quarters to go, is it going to be able to make up the time towards the finish line? I'd be surprised if it can. The Hurricane was very good through that final sector. It doesn't in the end. It was a little quicker past the wall, but in the end, it just couldn't quite maintain the speed towards the end of the run. It's a 47.1 from the Glickenhaus. It's still a very quick time. It's still a very quick time indeed up the hill climb stage, but that is not going to be enough for the vehicle. It's going to sit in second place. It's a second clear of that Lola. Again, still astonishingly fast for the Lola to be within a second of a modern race car. I'm not actually sure quite what category the Glickenhaus comes from. It's an endurance racer of some description, but there we go. There is one more car that can depose the Lamborghini, and that comes from Nissan. This is the R33 GTR-LM. 500 horsepower in this, about the same weight as we saw from the Hurricane as well, so it's a little bit down on power. The thing from qualifying we saw, this car is very, very good under brakes, and that is helpful around this course. It roars off the line for the Skyline. Is it going to be able to do anything about the Hurricane? It's going faster. We're a tenth of a second up through the first split. It might not quite have the straight line speed. It runs again, a couple of wheels on the dirt is going to happen around this course. I think just about everything has had wheels on the dirt at some point. It is late under brakes towards the next corner. A little bit of a lock-up from the Skyline. It's very close. It's lost a couple of tenths in all of that. Towards the Flint Wall. We saw the Glickenhaus go quickly through here. The Skyline doesn't even tap the brakes through there, and sure enough, it's a couple of tenths up on the Lamborghini, but this final sector is where the Hurricane was so fast. Has the Skyline got a big enough lead? It's going to be flat through these next couple of corners. The Hurricane's straight line speed was so strong. The Skyline doesn't do it. Oh, it's desperately close. It is so very close for the Nissan. 0.03 is all that separates the Skyline and the Hurricane. It made up all of that time in kind of the mid part of the run. The Lamborghini was just so fast. The Lamborghini was so fast at that final sector. That is what made the difference in all of that one. It is phenomenally close at the top of the table. The Hurricane takes victory. The Skyline in second ahead of the Glickenhaus. The Lola with a hell of a run. And that's probably the most impressive run we had in fourth ahead of the Porsche. The Pantera, Mini and Celica battle was fantastic as well. The Pantera winning that little round ahead of the Mini. Celica ends up 8th. And the Skoda, the little Skoda, managed to put on a hell of a show and beat a very, very sort of historic, well-known Maserati Grand Prix car. So I think that's a great showing from the Skoda as well. But there we go. The Lamborghini Hurricane is your victor for the FailRace Festival of Speed. This was an awful lot of fun to do. I shall try and link all of the mods used in the description so you can download them, have a go with them yourself, because it is a lot of fun running cars up this Festival of Speed hill climb stage. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.